My darling, it's time to put a stop to all the madness. You deserve so much more in your life. It's your time to glow up. Welcome to the Time to Glow Up podcast with Rebecca Hennings and guests. Your journey to transforming from the inside out begins here.
This always happens at the beginning of a show. Like, I'm never sure when it started, but I believe we've started now. So hi, Tinashe.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me, by the way.
No, you're very welcome.
I think we need to write to Skype and complain about that.
Yeah, I know, right? Come on. I'm supposed to be looking like slick here, but it's all good. It's all good. So, Tinashe, I met you just before Christmas in one of your establishments. And I was just saying that we were just talking offline, and I was just saying how taken aback I was by your story, your achievements, and I'm sure you won't mind me telling the world your age, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you're 25.
I'm not on the run on Interpol.
Well, you can say no. No, so I was just so surprised and impressed by what you come through and where you are, and so I immediately thought I need to interview you because the world needs to hear your story. People locally in Birmingham need to hear that, but further afield. So hence the reason why we're here. So that's what today's about. It's about drawing out. We're hearing more about Tinashe, hearing about what you're currently doing, where you've come from, and what your glow up is. And you're just even glowing as you're speaking to me right now. It's just oozing out of your pores. So it's about hearing about you. So let's start with where you are right now. So for those who don't know you, what is your role? What do you do business wise?
I do a lot of things, but to put it into a small box. I work within the entertainment industry. I also work in property. So I do that. All my businesses are family oriented. That's both on the entertainment side as well as the property side. So on the entertainment side, I work with my brother. On the property side, I work with my mother, who's probably my biggest inspiration and someone that I look up to quite a lot. So that's briefly, what I do and the sort of things that I do. I mean, I can go into further details.
Do a little bit just so again we have a clearer picture. So because a lot of people will be listening to this on the podcast, some may be watching it on YouTube, but we want to create the full picture of where it is you're coming from. So you're saying you're in the entertainment industry. I met you in your restaurant, or is it one of your restaurants? I don't know, man. There's so much going on. So talk to us about the entertainment side first.
Cool. So I'll tell you how I got involved in that first. Initially, I was never really into that side of I was never really exposed to that side of business. Initially, my first company was actually a cleaning business, and this is when I was 18 at the time. I started that by accident, actually. I was sat in the library.
By yourself?
Yeah, so I was just sat in the library, literally by accident. That's how I got into business. I stumbled into it by accident. I was sat in the library, in the main library in Birmingham, before they built this new one, and I overheard a conversation, a guy saying how much he's really upset with his cleaners, they didn't turn up. Me being cheeky, I went over to him and I said, well, I've got a cleaning company. And that's literally how I started my business. And I grew that over a couple of years. And after a while, I got bored of it. And my brother at the time, who I look up to for a lot of inspiration, his name is Dexter. He was already in the nightclub, restaurant / takeaway business. And I started working with him. So I offloaded and sold my cleaning business around about the age of 22. By this point, I was already in touch with people like BBC. I was already doing talks with people like BBC iPlayer. I was doing documentaries on BBC iPlayer by this point. I was traveling to London a lot, doing a lot of motivational talks, going into prisons, going into schools. And I just wanted something different. So I started working with my brother, and that's how I got into restaurants and nightclubs. So the first venue that we opened was called Dolce Vita, just off Radisson Blue. We
Sounds familiar.
It's a big brand. For those, those that are really into going out, they'll probably know what the brand is. So we're open there for about 2 years. after a while, we relocated into the venue that we're in now, which is on John Bright Street, next to Turtle Bay in Birmingham, which is now called Bantu Birmingham,
Yes.
which we've renamed since then into Cohiba. So upstairs, we've got the nightclub as a different place, and downstairs, we've got the restaurant where we met.
Wow.
That was a big journey in itself. I mean, again, I'd never exposed myself to such a business before. I found myself working behind the bar, which I'd never done before.
Yeah.
Again, quite similar to most of my businesses starting off. It's just things that I've stumbled into and I've had to learn on the job.
Yes.
But of course, I want to
ask you, because what's coming out quite so really strongly is your level of confidence and fearlessness. Where does that come from?
Growing up, I'll take you back. I mean, I wasn't born in England. Despite my strong Yorkshire / London accent, I was actually born in Africa. I came here at the age of 6.
Okay,
growing up there.
Where in Africa?
Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in Zimbabwe. So that's where I was born. I was born in Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe. The time I was growing up was very difficult politically.
Yeah.
There was a lot of political issues going on at the time in the country.
I'm going to stop you because we're going to come back. You're preempting me. So I just wanted you to touch on where this confidence comes from. But okay, so I see you have to go back to that in order to answer the question. Fine. So just to rewind a little bit, you were talking about you got your entertainment side of the business. And then what did you say? There's another side? The other side? Property.
Yes, so property.
Yeah. So what do you do with regards to the property side?
Cool. So my first house, my mom helped me buy my first house. I really wanted to get on the property ladder. And what I realized is that as a young person, we don't get taught any financial life skills or any financial, what can I say? For example, I didn't know what an overdraft was up until 23 because I didn't know that. I didn't get to learn this stuff in school. I didn't quite understand what that meant. I knew it was an overdraft, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't understand the ability to build credit score. So I had all this money flying around, but I didn't know how to build it and turn it into wealth, because there's a big difference to having cash and wealth. So my mom helped me to get my first property, which was through auction. So the issue that I had was I had a very poor credit score.
Right.
So through my mom, I was able to get my first property, which then in turn, from that property, I was able to get 4 more houses. So I turned that into a business.
Excuse me? What do you say? 4 more houses?
Yeah. So I've just recently closed my most recent one in Wolverhampton. And that was probably my biggest achievement for last year.
Wow.
So I've managed to turn that into a business.
Okay.
So what I do with these properties is I have contracts with the local authorities.
Yeah.
So again, when I had my cleaning business, as well as now, I've managed to keep really good relationships with people like Birmingham City Council, Herefordshire Council. They don't mind me name dropping them. Walsall Council, a lot of local authorities. And what I'm able to do with these local authorities is I'm able to rehouse young people.
Wow.
So again, we've got a massive housing issue in Birmingham. I can't really speak about anywhere else, but being the youngest city here in Birmingham, I know that we've got a massive housing issue.
Yes.
So what I'm able to do with those properties, I'm able to sort of like rent them out to the council.
Yeah.
So it's a new area of property that a lot of people are not aware of, and it's very lucrative. So that's what I'm doing now.
So your property business, has a social aim as well as it being profitable.
We're a private company. We're not a charity. But the ethos is to get people into accommodation, and the ethos is to tackle homelessness, especially for under 25s.
Yes.
That's what the aim is.
Okay. And I have a feeling that we're going to find out a bit more about why that's important to you shortly. So, all right. So I am going to ask you to take it back now. So you grew up in Zimbabwe. Now, my knowledge of Zimbabwe is very limited, but what I do know is that you will have grown up in a time where President Robert Mugabe was running the country, and that there were a time when government policies with regards to the IMF, with regards to the EU, were fragile, and there was a lot of opposition, and that meant that for people in Zimbabwe, their basic resources were very stretched. Okay, so talk to me about your early life and how that affected you.
Exactly. So as you said, resources were very stretched, even to this day. Zimbabwe got sanctioned The reason being is because there was a huge political outburst. I don't know if, for those that don't know, Zimbabwe was colonized by the British a long while back. I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to turn this into a political frenzy. But after Zimbabwe was colonized, when Robert Mugabe took in charge, he had an idea to sort of, as he called it, take back the land, as he called it.
Yes.
And that caused a lot of political upset. A lot of people lost their jobs, houses, etc. So in that period, I was being raised by my grandma at the time. There was 11 of us. 11 of us, mixture.
When you say 11, sorry, you're going to explain what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
So exactly. So a mixture of her kids,
Yes.
my mum's siblings, as well as my siblings as well. So it was just a mixture of different age groups and different family members together in one household.
Yes.
At the time, my grandma lost her partner. So my grandma only sort of skill set that she had is sewing. She's really good with the sewing machine. But again, it's not a business that's going to feed a family of 11. So having an income will really struggle with that. My mother.
Yes.
My mother was in the picture, yes. But at that point in time, she had left to come here to Europe to build, I guess you can call it, a better future for ourselves. I will tap into what she did when she got here, shortly. Yes. But, just going back to being in Zimbabwe and what we faced. At the start, it was very, very difficult because, as I said, my mum had just come here. And obviously my grandma, she only had one source of income. We did have other adults in the family as well, such as my uncles, my brothers. But again, getting work and getting into full-time employment just wasn't happening at the time because of the political upset.
Right.
So I found myself at the age of 6 going fishing with my brothers, my uncles. Literally, as a big family, would go fishing. Yeah. There's certain things that, as a young person, even if you're going through hardship, that I believe you probably shouldn't know. Yes. But I was fully aware that we were going through hardship, despite my age.
And what did that feel like for you? Did you feel fair?
Well, I never complained. I never cried. But I knew that we were struggling, and I didn't quite understand to what extent. I mean, me going to the river or to the dam, wherever we were going to fish, for me that was just a fun exercise.
Right.
But I mean, it hit home when I used to go to school. And other kids are having lunch and I'm not having lunch. That's when I realized, actually, we don't actually have here.
Wow, okay, because that kind of messes with my head there. What do you mean you're not having lunch? So when were you eating?
There's this bread. If there's any Zimbabweans out there that are listening, there's this bread, they will know what it is, but it's called chimodo. It's sort of like food for the poor, I guess if you can call it that. But it's basically it's a mixture of wheat and sugar and water, and you bake it. And we used to eat that basically morning, lunch, and dinner. So that's what we had when times were really hard.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. That's got it. I can't. The only thing I can remotely compare that to is one day when, not actually one day, times when we didn't have much. We had like bread, normal bread, like a loaf of bread and jam. Like, actually, it doesn't even compare. Like, I was rich compared to clearly what you guys were. So okay, I hear that. So
that for me was quite. Looking back now, that was very traumatic for me because, as I said, when you go out into the neighborhood, or just in general, even in general, when you go out in society as a young person, you see your other young friends not eating the same things you're eating. For example, let's say I've gone out now to play with my friends and I've got to knock on a friend's house and, are you coming out to play sort of thing? You'd notice that actually they've got an abundance of food. For example, something like seeing them have meat, that became like a wow factor. Oh, you're having meat, because I thought what I was eating, everyone else is eating.
Yeah.
So going to a friend's house, for example, and seeing them have maybe rice and meat, that was like, oh, you guys have meat for lunch.
Did they treat you differently as a result?
No, I was never bullied about it, ever. But though you don't get bullied about it, people don't fail to notice it and people don't fail to mention it.
Right.
Or for example, how come you're still wearing the same top you were wearing, 4 days ago? That sort of thing.
And so when you asked something like that, what was going on inside?
To be honest, as I said, because I was quite young, I never really had an answer for that. It would just be a matter of people just laugh and make jokes out of it and you move on from it. You just pretend as if you're laughing as well. But actually, deep down, you don't actually realize what it's doing to you.
Right.
And it affects you at a later stage, as of now, when you're older and you reflect back and think, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite scarred by that.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until you're older, but it shapes who you are ultimately.
Oh,
but don't get me wrong, you can turn out to be the opposite. These circumstances can make or break people.
Well,
I know people that have been through, honestly, I know people that have been through similar circumstances and they've not turned that negative energy into something positive.
Yeah.
If anything, they've actually gone the other way around and they've lost their sanity.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't always work out well.
So what was it for you that kept you? Was there something that was driving you even from a young age that made you feel like, one day things are going to be better? Was there something inside your head that made you just kind of keep going?
Yeah. So my mom, as I said, she had moved here to England, specifically Leeds. She was working in a factory called Spectrum. She was in Leeds making clothes for people like Primark, hanging up clothes, ironing, everything. It's a factory that's just designed to package, iron, prepare the retail industry companies. So when I came here, I saw how hard she was working. Literally, she would wake up in the morning, prepare my breakfast, leave it, go to work, quickly come back from work, leave me in the house, by the way. First time ever being in England.
And how old were you when you came here?
I was like 6, 7. I was very young.
Oh.
And so I'm here in this big country, my English was all right, it wasn't that great. And she would come back from work, cook again, leave again, write down instructions of what to do, when to sleep, come back again, put me to sleep, go back to work for a night shift.
And was it just
I saw that every day, just me.
So your brother wasn't here at that time?
No, just myself at the time.
Oh.
And literally, I saw her do that for maybe 2-3 years straight.
Wow.
And one by one, she brought each and every family member here. One by one. Every year, she would bring one family member.
And how many siblings are there?
There's 12 of us in total. One sibling ended up passing away, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Okay, so okay, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. So what made me kind of like push him to be who I am? It's exactly that.
Yeah.
She's very ambitious.
Yes.
She practically came here with nothing, and even when I was here, things didn't change, and I was living my best life. There's something else about me as well that I didn't really touch on. I come from a strong sports background.
Okay.
So when I came here, initially, the only thing that kept me out of the house when my mom was working so hard, in case you're wondering, well, if she was working so hard, then what did you do in the house? Did you not get bored? So she signed me up to play sports.
Okay.
I was doing sports, karate, football, boxing, everything. I did it. And it turned out I was really good at football. So about 7, 8, I got picked up by a team called Leeds United, and I got a professional contract from there.
Oh, okay.
And I played professional sports throughout my whole life.
Wow.
Now, at that point, I believed, well, once I knew what was going on when I was a lot older, when I knew I was playing for a professional, well-recognized team, I thought that was going to be my life set.
Yes.
And, it didn't quite work out, to be like that.
Yeah.
But just going back to what drives me now, it's exactly those circumstances. Coming here, watching my mom work so hard, bring each and every family member one by one, and guiding them, okay, you need to go into this career, okay, go study, go do this. Looking at my family now, they're very ambitious people.
Yeah.
My auntie now, she's a manager in an NHS hospital. My mom, again, manager in an NHS hospital. My uncles, they're all engineers. You've met my brother. Uh, my other siblings in Africa are doing really well. Again, they're all into civil engineering and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask about the elephant in the room. So where was your dad?
My dad served in the army as a sergeant major. Fought the Rhodesia. Zimbabwe was called Rhodesia before it became.
Yeah.
And there was a big, I guess it was a civil war. My dad, fought in that sort of like political battle, and he left us basically.
Oh my gosh. So
I've only just got in touch with him sort of like last yearish.
Yeah.
He's retired now.
Okay.
He's and stuff.
Okay.
Does farming. He tries to work with me. He tries to interlink with him quite a lot.
Yes.
On it. I don't have any, hate or resentment, because I've realized that there's certain things that I will never understand, because there must have been a reason why things turned out to be where they are. So I don't judge anymore. But when I was younger, I used to judge a lot, and I used to say to myself, well, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I used to be close-minded about it. But now that I'm older, I'm quite open-minded about it. I don't judge. I just sort of like take it from as what it is. I judge him on who he is now, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Not before.
So you've made peace with that part of your life?
Yeah, because he actually had the money.
Yes.
Very, very well off, very wealthy.
Oh my God.
So it always confuses me as to why you would leave, your mother-in-law and better yet, your son, me, in that position. But like I said, I would never understand unless I was in his shoes.
Yes.
And I'm later found out that I've got other siblings as well, as I've gotten older.
Yes.
So it's not a nice way of finding out your external family members.
Yeah.
But again, these are the things that make you who you are today. If you can turn that energy. Yeah,
it must make where you are as well. I don't know. This is just me guessing. Feel that little bit more. I don't use the word sweeter, but I don't think it appropriately describes what I mean. But the fact that you've been able to make it despite that, the fact that didn't help, must.
Yeah, I know.
Feel really, really.
Well, to be honest, I don't think it would have made a difference.
Okay.
To be honest with you, because the way I see it is, the people that have shaped me to be who I am are the women in my life, my mom, my aunties. Yeah. They've really shaped me to be who I am. I think as men, sometimes what we fail to admit, especially as African men, is we fail to take responsibility and accountability where it's necessary, and that stems from pride. That stems from maybe how he was raised up as well, because at the time he was raised, you need to understand that pride and sort of like being the man of the house kind of thing was a very important thing. Whereas now, my generation, we're quite open-minded. I mean, you can come to my house here and you'll probably find me cleaning the house, no problem. And so you can probably find my missus doing the same thing. There's no, what can I say? There isn't, you're the man of the house, and I don't know how to explain it. There is no,
the roles are not different. Yeah.
And I feel like that plays a big factor.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
In society and how we shape young, Black men and women.
Yes.
As they're growing up.
I hear you. Okay, so you've had a lot happen in a very, I was gonna say I'm nearly double your age, but not quite. But you've had a lot happen in your life.
Yeah.
Do you live quite a busy life. Do you make time to sit down and reflect and kind of just sit back and look over everything? Is that important to you?
No, it's not important to me. But what's important to me is not stopping, being constantly evolving, and I don't mean headlessly just waking up every day and just going somewhere or chasing something that isn't going anywhere. But I have I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, but every time I want to do something, even if it ends up failing, I give it my absolute best and I put my all into it. So I don't really sit down and dwell on the past too much. But to be, I do appreciate one thing about the past. You have to be able to accept it and understand it and digest it before you can even.
Thank you.
You know,
I'm glad you said that, because when we met, we were kind of like in a bit of a dispute with someone, and we'll mention no names, right? Because we were talking about, you know, when you go through trauma, that you have to deal with that trauma before you can move on, right? Yeah. And this person was adamant, like they were saying, like,
no, you don't have to,
just kind of forget it and move on. So I guess it's the question I'm asking you, and this is to help people who are listening, who might, because it's difficult to go through trauma. It's difficult to then have to think about it again and process it because it's painful. But in your opinion, that's essential, right?
Yeah. With trauma, there's a scientific revelation. Well, I don't know how true it is, but I think it's true. I believe it's true. I believe it only takes one traumatic experience to really mentally damage you. And if you don't recover from that experience, like I said, it can go the other way around for you. Now, in Africa, I can only speak on Africa and what I've seen. Mental health is something that's we turn a blind eye to. Again, it goes back to pride. Not accepting. Just get off, be stronger, get over it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We have to learn. Yeah, we have to learn to accept things as they are, but not just accepting. We have to understand what it is. So you can accept it, but what is it? Am I actually mentally going through something here? Am I suffering from mental health here? And it's about having an honest conversation about yourself. Being honest with yourself stems from being self-aware.
Yes.
How do you become self-aware? There's a series of things that need to happen before that.
Yeah.
First, you need to sit down and evaluate yourself. Sit down, get a chair. Literally do this. Get a chair. Sit in front of your wardrobe mirror. Ask yourself, what is my purpose? You might argue and say, I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to live for. You still have a purpose. There's a reason why tomorrow you're going to wake up and get out of bed, albeit stay in bed. There's a reason why you want to be here. There's things you want to achieve. And you need to understand what's your purpose. And that's when you become self-aware. And when you are self-aware, you're more honest. You see that you achieve more. You notice that people want to be around you more because your aura, your vibe, as people call it these days, changes. You tend to, you become more genuine. You tend to attract a certain caliber of person. And you become pure, as I call it. So I believe, we need to be more honest with ourselves and understand what is mental health.
Yes.
Because when you go through something really traumatic, and by the way, going something through, because a lot of people think that, okay, for me to go through something traumatic, it has to be really something ridiculous and something that's gonna, be wow. No, it can literally be something really small.
It's all relative, isn't it? It's relative. And I think, I've listened to your story. That sounds pretty dramatic to me.
You can literally sit on the bus and someone can be very racist to you, and that can be very traumatic for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything extreme. You don't have to be homeless. You don't have to be, chasing food every day as a young person.
Yeah.
Can be, various different forms.
Yeah.
We need more conversations with our kids and our families. And that's something I'm really grateful for my parents for. I can call my mom anytime, ask anything that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Talk about it. I was to do that before.
Yeah.
I
hear you. And it's something I advocate very much. So it been having that outlet, like for me, when I had cancer, my outlet was I blogged a lot, I wrote a lot, I spoke a lot. I just need to talk. I need to talk. And I think whatever that outlet is for you, you don't have to do what you or I did, but to have some sort of outlet where you're allowing that pain to come through and you're processing it. I think what the danger is when you lock it away because you fear what that might do to you. I watch a lot of Yanela Van Zandt. I don't know if you've watched her. Yeah, it's brilliant. And that's what she says. It's like being able to talk about your trauma will not kill you. It will hurt, but it won't kill you. And I think for a lot of people, maybe that's what they're feeling, is that they won't be able to handle it. But once you get through it, that's the richness.
It is, yeah. It's so hard to, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's so hard to encourage people to speak out. You know, I don't know what it is. I think people are scared, well, maybe I'll get judged or etc.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, we need to appreciate that people have different ways of dealing with trauma. Some people want to deal with it better, enclosed, keeping it to themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I really agree with you. You have to speak out about it and get it off your chest.
In some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, even if you're sitting there by yourself, you're talking about it.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to move you on because unfortunately we don't have forever. So you're now experiencing this massive glow up. You know, and as I said, the glow up for me is when you've transitioned through an emotional trauma and now you're just shining, you're thriving, you're living life wholeheartedly. At least that's what I see. So in your own words, what is your glow up?
Being able to, you know, I'm really grateful that God's given me this talent whereby whenever I want to do something, whether it be go get a burger, whether it be start a new business tomorrow, I have the ability to go ahead and execute. And I'm really grateful for that. And that is my glow up, I would say.
That's amazing. And so you haven't even mentioned, hold on, you got your restaurant. Yeah, I know there's another place down the road that you mentioned. And then there's the Nakira nightclub. Come on, let it all out. So we want to kind of see how you're glowing up and you're in Birmingham and you kind of want to support and just check it all out. Where can they go?
So if you want to follow personally my personal journey, you can find me on any social media platform. Just type in my full name. If you want to read any articles or watch anything, YouTube, whether it be on BBC, again, my full name. If you want to find out more about the business specifically that I'm involved in, www.nakirabirmingham.com. Check that out. We serve some interesting things on the menu, such as game meats. We've got things like crocodile burgers on there. Really interesting stuff. We've got the nightclub as well.
Yeah,
well, next time I'm going to make sure I get you something.
Yeah, no, I don't.
And then we've got the nightclub, we've got the restaurant. Come down for some cocktails, and just it's about sharing an experience, selling culture, and integrating people.
I'll make sure that we include the details of those businesses if people want to check them out. Because actually, not too long ago, I was looking for an African restaurant, and there are not that many in Birmingham. There are a few, but so I think it's great that you're doing what you're doing. And the few that I have visited in Birmingham, none are offer what you're offering, which is, as you say, quite exotic and quite beautiful to look at, very impressive to look at. Thank you. I'll make sure those details are included.
So we're only one of 3 that do fine dining African restaurants. There's 2 in London.
Yes.
And we're the only 3 that I know that do fine dining. The rest do sort of takeaway sort of.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's quite a saturated market, but it's.
Yeah. So you guys got it going on. So, all right then. So just before we end, I would just like to ask you some quick fire questions. And I just want you to, in fact, they're just sentences I want you to complete. All right. So first one is this. Now is the time to
focus.
Yeah, like that. Okay. The one thing that keeps me going is
food.
Okay. The way to peace is
love.
You win in life by
helping.
I like that one. Okay. And the last one, what the world needs more is
I have so much. But just from the top of my head, love.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what exudes from you, is love for your family, love for your business, love for life, love for other people. And I just, I wish for you that this upward trajectory continues. I know it will. I can see it. I can feel it. And I love the fact that you're spreading that this is not just about you. So thank you so much, Tinashe, for your time.
Thank you.
And
honestly, we need more of this. You know, sharing stories, collaborating.
Yeah.
We need more of it. 2020.
Absolutely. And you're epitomizing that. So thank you so much. And I'm coming to visit your restaurant real soon. All right. So I'm just going to ask that you stay on the line. I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to say goodbye to everybody who's listening and see you later.